Lori Levesque, and I'm here today with Phyllis Harris. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri today at the Webster University campus. I'm really pleased, Phyllis. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to help out with your project.
Well, thank you. Phyllis right now is the president of Pathfinders LLC. She is a professional development consultant and provides technical assistance. Listen to this list: for educators, social service providers, parents, community organizations, college students with a future orientation to working with schools and children. She works with faith-based organizations. She works with fathering organizations, women's organizations, has recently begun work in special education. She's the former director of the Missouri PIRC, which is a Parent Information Resource Center, which was based at Lift, Missouri, Missouri's primary literacy resource center, where at the same time she was an Even Start technical assistance provider and trainer. She has been a trainer for the National Head Start Center in Family Engagement, and I got that one wrong, and Family Literacy. Phyllis is wherever we see schools, communities, and families coming together, not only in Kansas City, but in many places around the country. And Phyllis is going to talk to us today about our course and about her work that she's doing with Webster University, where she is the provider of the design and implementation of a family engagement component of a National Professional Development Grant, which is serving English language learners in the Kansas City Public Schools, working with Webster University with the goal of creating culturally responsive learning environments. Phyllis.
All right.
There we go.
Yes,
well,
indeed.
We're sitting in a classroom and we know it's great to be engaged, and so let's just you and I talk, and
Okay.
we'll let our students, when they view this, many may be able to upload their own responses to you on a video platform, and hopefully we can do a follow-up in perhaps July.
Okay.
Okay, Phyllis, tell us.
Well, first I want to thank you for this opportunity because I love to share strategies and best practices. I think that when learners get tools they need, that's the beginning to put us on the path to helping families that are in need.
Okay. And what are you currently doing?
Currently, I'm working on a very exciting project. Webster University received a grant through the U.S. Department of Education, which you just described, where teachers in Kansas City Public Schools are getting professional development and education to enhance their ability to engage families. But most importantly, these teachers are going to receive a Master's of Education in Teaching with an ESL certification, and I think that's a beautiful combination. Because again, we know that our second language families, we really have to strive a little harder to engage them because we have the language barriers. We sometimes can have cultural barriers and things like that. And when new Americans are trying to get settled in new environments, they need the schools and the teachers to surround them with supportive care and understanding. And this project it aims to do that and has been doing a great job.
You know, Phyllis, you're the first one who has used in our work here in Kansas City the term new Americans rather than what was previously used as immigrant families or the ESLs,
Right.
The ELLs, but you refer to new Americans, and you've been working with this idea in the schools of welcome. How are you building that capacity to welcome?
Well, one of the things that we want schools to understand is that we have to admit that we don't know enough about a lot of different cultures that we're serving. And we have to begin to explore and assess what does our community have that can help families as they try to come into a new environment and get settled in and find things that are critically important like housing, transportation, food, and clothing. Those are not easy things to acquire if you don't even have any idea where you are, what's the culture of the neighborhoods in the city, how to communicate effectively. So can we just imagine if you come to Kansas City, Missouri, for example, or St. Louis, and you come from another country, you can't speak English, and you don't know where dinner is going to be, how that's going to happen, and that's at 5 o'clock p.m. today, that's not tomorrow, for example, or will you have a coat because we have winters in Missouri, for example. So families or a lot of things are going on in their minds, and they're wondering, who can I turn to? And so, educators in schools and districts, we must admit and own the fact that we are not just educators anymore, but that we are providers of life. For families, that we must help them have proper nutrition and all the other things they do need so that children can perform well in school. And so, with that in mind, we have to become knowledgeable and embrace what's in the community and build formal partnerships and collaborations so that the school can at least say, hey, I may not be a case manager, but I can point you in the direction of where you need to go so that your family can thrive.
That really brings up a good point. In the forum that we had last week, I think it was Amanda and Becky, Jane, and Karen, I think you had points on this one. The schools are afraid we don't have the resources for this. We have a family resource center. But we don't have real resources beyond someone there and says, we're going to have a family literacy night. I think Becky said, but no one wants to come to that. Yeah. So we'll have a fundraiser instead. But that doesn't build capacity. How are you building capacity?
We have to remember that when we offer activities and meetings and programs for families, they must be relevant to families. And it's the same way it is with you and I as well, is that if someone invites us to a comedy shop or a stand-up comedian show, for example, we want it to be funny. We want jokes that we can relate to. And so when we bring families into the schools, we have to remember there's already a transportation barrier. Children are getting out of school. Sometimes families need to get dinner started and things like that. So if we want them to take out of their time and give it to us, it has to be relevant. It has to be exciting. It has to be educational. They have to be able to take something home that they can use there. So in other words, whatever we are providing, it has to be a sustainable form of education that they can practice at home and be able to practice it easily, not with a lot of complexity, for example. So what it takes basically, number one, and I'm a big advocate of this, is that yes, we can run into some regulations and things like that, but I truly believe that we must provide some type of refreshments or food or something like that for families, because after school essentially is dinner time and people are hungry. They've been at work all day or they've been at school. So we must certainly do that, and we have to assess families. What types of things would you like us to serve? What are you interested in? We have to also show appreciation for families and their respect for their culture by saying, would you like to sing a song in your culture and share that with us? Would you like to talk to other families of your same culture to help us with our communication barriers? So using a strengths-based model is critically important, because you're pulling from the strengths of the families and saying to them, you may be a new American, you may not be able to speak English, but you have something to offer. And that's how you truly engage people. People that are highest needs still want to be seen as someone who has strengths, or that I can bring something to the table. And when schools do that and learn that concept, that if you ask them for their ideas and their opinions and for their strengths, teach us a game that's played in India, teach us a song that's sang in Africa. Is there a dance? You have to blend these types of things in with the educational message that you're trying to bring forth, as a way for them to truly embrace you, trust you, and understand that you respect them. And without respect, there is no engagement.
Phyllis, one of the things that worked really well last year is that the district had Parent University, for example.
Yes.
And you, at the same time as Parent University was happening with a lot of excitement, you chose that time to bring community leaders to a round table in the same building at the same time.
Yes.
And what happened when the community leaders saw what was happening in that context?
Well, it was. I think it was a real smart move that we made, because we know that family literacy, of course, brings everyone together. And so on that day, we had the families and children involved in parent-child interactive literacy activities, which was so much fun to them, because they were making things and drawing things and writing things and communicating with one another and working in teams. And then simultaneously in a meeting room, we had the Nigerian Association, we had the League of United Latin American Citizens with us, we had the JAMA Scholastic Program, which is a Muslim program. We had the Chinese Society and the Japanese Society with us. And through the conversation, these are English-speaking persons of the different organizations that are kind of the voice for the community on New Americans. And they're telling us what families need and how they're feeling and what they have to say about education and teachers. And do they need more books? Or, we really are interested in coming to the activities, but let us tell you why it's extra difficult for us, for example. So to have that group of experts, in my opinion, telling us what families are experiencing when they're away from the schools, the time that we can't see, what are they doing at home in the evening, and helping us understand culturally how they live. It gave us a lot of insight as to what we need to bring into the classroom and into the schools. For example, if there are some ritualistic type things that certain cultures do very late at night, for example, and we understand that, then we might know that maybe a child might be slightly sleepy on Friday morning because Thursday evenings, this is what their church does, for example. It also tells us that certain foods that are prepared, there are a lot of cultures that don't like pork. And I remember bringing in refreshments and snacks. We had to make sure we had turkey and chicken and a little bit of beef and things like that, but we couldn't serve pork to certain cultures. So it comes into that communication piece. And again, it's very difficult to communicate with families because they don't speak English, but there are community organizations that are leaders for the families, that are the voices for the families. And when you engage them and bring them into the schools and let them know that you want to learn, they'll have a high respect for you and they will turn around and want to help you with translation support. They'll help you with developing forms and lesson plans and things like that in the different languages. And those are the very critical partnerships that are needed to make education happen.
Phyllis, you and I have put on a lot of miles.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yes, we have.
Phyllis and I worked together with Even Start. We worked with the National Center for Family Literacy. And as we were talking before our meeting here, we've sat hours with Joyce Epstein and Karen Mapp. And when the Random Acts piece, and Phyllis brought it again today, Beyond Random Acts, we were sitting at a table. In fact, we laughed. My husband was having dinner in the table behind Heather Weiss when the Sebring piece from the Chicago work was almost like rolled out in front of them. They said,
Yes.
We need to do something. And one of the comments was, we've got to stop random acts.
Absolutely.
And here we're sitting there, the two of us going, that's kind of clever. Then we see papers published on good ideas taken to scale. And in our work with PERC that's no longer funded, it was a great idea. And we cut I guess it went down when we did the 5% cut across the board. And it was just, it didn't matter what it was a place to save money. Even Start, it was a cut across the board, zero budgeted, but we learned a lot.
We did.
About communities in schools. And I'd really like to just have you tell the students over here what it was about Even Start and PERC that were lessons that carried forward, which are part of our work now. And if you could couch that with, Phyllis, you do so much with community organizations, and how many grants we have written, I can't count. Many were funded, many weren't, but no grant not funded didn't bring something back to the community.
Absolutely.
Think back when we did the Toxic Mothers.
Yes, indeed.
That was toxins that mothers bring to a child's life.
Absolutely.
We did a Promised Neighborhood, and now we didn't get the grant, but we have, what is it? You're going to be doing one of this grant's workshops with Upper Room.
Upper Room, which is a former Even Start program that still practices family literacy and so forth. And, I'm so glad that you mentioned, all the different projects we've been involved, because I like to encourage people that even if you don't get the grant, what you learn from the process and what it's all about, you can still take that concept and incorporate it into some type of service for your families. And, when Jerry talked about Beyond Random Acts, one of the beauties of having family literacy installed in whatever you do is because family literacy emphasizes being intentional and purposeful. And that is so critical that we just don't kind of throw out some ideas and come together and say, okay, we're going to have maybe some painting and arts and crafts at the next parent-teacher night or the next event, but that we actually build our programs and activities around facts that we have gathered, surveys from parents or community or what have you, and things we have learned from the families themselves, and that we build the plan around what's needed so that we can get to the outcomes that we are trying to achieve. If we just say, well, it sounds like a great idea to have an ice cream festival where we bring in vanilla ice cream and everybody's going to have different toppings and you can make your own sundae. Yes, incorporate that, but the content of your meeting and the information that you are sharing should be based on some type of community needs assessment, parent assessments, or information you have received that can help you understand what the families are coming to you for. When families show up, they expect to take something back with them. When we go shopping and we actually have money to spend, we want to buy something that makes us feel good, something that we can wear and use, something that means a lot to us, for example. And it's the same way. Parents, if they could, they would be able to shop around to different schools, and not all of them have that opportunity. So when you have them at your access and when they are with you, make sure that whatever you are doing and whatever you're providing is critically important to them, relevant to them, and that you have actually camped out with parent leaders and other parents who can explain to you what to incorporate in your programs. And that's a critical ingredient there, is that you have parents actually help you with the planning. That's the number one ingredient to me when it comes to family engagement.
Phyllis, if you pass me the paper over there, your one she's sharing today with a team, we have a leadership meeting, and it'll be okay if I share this with these doctoral students. When Phyllis plans, she is always putting together matrices, logical models of very concrete. Here's the purpose. She starts with here's the goal. And then you will always see, if we look at our plan for 4 engagement sessions in the next project year, she has organized these by title and the grant area met, and she's also tied it to the school district's school improvement plan, so that if a school principal says, why would I want to do this, Phyllis can turn right around and say, it's in your plan. And I believe now Phyllis is going to be leaving us this afternoon, working with people doing what their school.
We are going to have all the parent liaisons who are the parent leaders for all of the Kansas City Public Schools are going to be in a big meeting today, and they're going to receive training, I guess, from 12 to around 2:30 or so, and then at 3 o'clock, I'm going to come and talk to them about family engagement as part of their training. And it's because their goal and their mission today is that they will have a family engagement plan that will be installed inside the actual school improvement plan. And I'm so happy about this and excited because it shows that everyone is embracing the importance of engaging families, that we are not just going to say, oh, well, we met this area and that area, but in fact, we have a plan not just for parent activities, but a plan for how we engage parents so they actually show up for the activities. And so this is a big leap, and I'm really excited about it.
And Phyllis is also, as we're going through here, she looks at who the facilitators are in the organization, the description and the purpose, the impact. And then when we come to it, I'm the evaluator for the project, and she always presents me with, these are the projected outcomes, these are the anticipated outcomes, and this is the applicable research, because you speak to 2 audiences. We're sitting here in a university. The university faculty who support this, they want to know research, and they want to see research opportunities to take this forward. Whereas the school district, they want, well, what can you show me with the students, and what will this help me with my Title I plan? So this is laid out, and it's concrete, and if you drill into it for any one of the weeks, we see, any one of the events, we also see the description of the activities, what materials will be used, and always it's sustainable. The idea that we can create here a culturally responsive resource center because we build as we go in a purposeful and what did you say?
Intentional.
Intentional. One of the things my students will truly enjoy is Phyllis also takes a family systems approach, and in our class, as Phyllis, I was excited to see this, on Saturday, I came in and said, oh, Bronfenfenner and Vygotsky, and Phyllis sits here, well, I'm giving this today. But she's taken it, she's fitted into our work here, and we're carrying forward. And I think that's about 20 minutes of our time, and perhaps we could talk to you later in the semester.
Yes, indeed. And please share anything you'd like to share.
Thank you.
And I just would like to leave a final message. I always say that we all know that there are policies and regulations to every program, every school district, schools, whatever we're doing, we have to document what we are doing with children and families, but we also have to establish why we're using certain approaches. And when you lean on the research, and Dr. Levesque is a wonderful person, she's the research expert as far as I'm concerned. She can point you in the direction of research for any practice that you're using around family literacy and reading and best practices in education overall. So just know that we all have that responsibility that we have to meet those different areas. A lot of school districts and schools struggle, not because they're not doing the activities. I see beautiful activities happening all the time. But if you don't document it, it didn't happen. And if you don't show how it coincides with the district's plan and the state's policies and things like that, it's almost like your work was done for nothing. And so it's always a good idea to make sure that you can establish on different levels. For parents, how does this activity product we're giving you, how is it relevant to your life? And then when we get to the school level, how does this work that we do with the school enhance the school improvement plan? And when we get to the district level, how does the school improvement plan affect the district's ability to become accredited in that particular area? And it goes on and on and on. So it's a very important piece that we've discussed today, family engagement, and it starts with actually engaging families, respecting them, and understanding that we have to really acknowledge their strengths and what they can bring to the table.
Thank you. And from my students at Bellarmine University, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
and nice
you,
to meet you all.
Nice to meet you. We'll hope to see you again.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.